Hi, Amy here. I came across something today that I just wanted to briefly talk about. It was a quote from a writer, quoting another more famous writer, and the more famous writer was saying that writing is not art, should not be considered art. And I understand on one hand where that sort of thinking comes from. It is work, and it's something you have to commit to. You have to sit down in the chair and you have to really do it. But I think to deny that it's art is sort of putting art and artists in a certain stereotype that probably isn't true. It's coming from the assumption that all art is really just this self-indulgent, cathartic expression, and that artists sort of just, they create when they feel like creating, and that they don't have discipline or goals. And I don't think that's true. I've never personally met artists like that. I believe most of them are very disciplined. They get up, they have set goals. They confine themselves as much as possible they want to make a living at it, and so that sort of gets into the area of work. I came across this quote by Ray Bradbury talking about work, and if you don't know who Ray Bradbury is, he's a very famous writer of our time, and I want to share with you his quote of what he's saying about the word work. He says, "It is, above all, the word about which your career will revolve for a lifetime. Beginning now, you should become not its slave, which is to mean a term, but its partner. Once you are really a co-sharer of existence with your work, that word will lose its repellent aspects. We often indulge in made work, in false business, to keep from being bored, or worse still, we conceive the idea of working for money. The money becomes the object, the target, the end-all and be-all. Thus work, being important only as a means to that end, degenerates into boredom. Can we wonder then that we hate it so?" So I really relate and understand what Ray Bradbury is saying, because when people were coming to me initially who had been exposed to my writing, and they were saying, "Oh, you should write a book, you're such a good writer," that really was my resistance to it. I didn't want to take something that I was passionate about, something that I loved, something that was actually a source of self-expression, and turn it into work and make it to where it was like a dangling carrot, where I was always trying to feed my family. And at that point, it would cease to become a joy and start to become, something that I hated, work, labor, something I was forcing myself to do when I didn't feel like doing it. And so I understand that aspect of what Ray Bradbury is saying as well. And so it made me really think a lot about what exactly is writing and where does that fit. Now, I've done a lot of different types of art. I'm not super proficient in any of them. But over the years of my life, I've dabbled with drawing, I've dabbled with painting, mainly acrylic painting. I've done some pottery, done some beadwork, I've done some metal clay, I've done some crochet, I've done just a whole lot of different things, ranging from crafty to, artsy. And in that process, I've learned a lot about creating and what it means. And as I was thinking about writing, because writing has always been my primary source of self-expression, I was kind of thinking about it, comparing it to other things that I've done. And really what came across to me, what reminded me the most, writing and how I write, is actually sculpting. When you sculpt, you sort of like you're taking a lump of clay that basically is just nothing, and you're digging your fingers in, and you're smoothing it out, and you're doing this, and you're using your tools, and you're really like fine tuning this thing, sort of molding it into a recognizable, functional, representation of something. And I really saw my writing process very similar to that. If we take a group of words and we just slap them down and then we just arrange them into a straight sentence, that's more maybe what I would say like an academic style writing. You're just trying to communicate something and here it is. It's just out there. But if you're really trying to write creatively and nonfiction or poetry or prose or haiku or any type of creative type of writing, you really are. You're molding the words, and you're not, in that essence, the words that you put before and the words that you put after, they are changing the middle. And so you are sort of like massaging and melding, and you're putting things together and arranging them in a way that you are actually creating art, in my estimation, of what that process is like. So I can't agree with that famous writer who said that writing is not art and should not be seen as art. I think it is art, and I think it's a legitimate thing, and I think that it's a very wonderful, beautiful thing for writers to see themselves as artists. They're artists of language, they're artists of expression through language. And yeah, so I don't know, I had that on my mind today, and I felt compelled to share it, and I hope that it inspired you today, and I hope that you can see yourself as an artist of words.